This is going to be my how-to and review video on installing aftermarket HIDs as an upgrade on my 2001 Chevy Silverado 1500. I got a innovated HID kit off of Amazon for just shy of $50. Pretty standard kit. Comes with 2 bulbs, 2 ballasts, and a very minimal amount of hardware to actually install it. I went with the 55 watt 5000K kit, and I'm going to show you how I installed my kit and why this may or may not be for everybody. So hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Installing HIDs is pretty simple. It's a bulb, a ballast, and a power source. The hard part is making sure that your install is properly done. Take your time, find the right places for everything. I got lucky, as you can see right here. I have a pretty good spot for my ballast. I have that spot on both sides. The biggest thing I see on reviews is stuff like, oh, well, I put my HIDs in and the first time it rained, they went out. That's because even the best HID ballast is not going to be completely waterproof. You know, you want to keep your ballast away from water, vibration, heat, fan belts, anything that will crush, maim, or destroy it. You need to take almost twice the time just preparing to put this stuff in as you do putting it in. As you can see, I've got some pretty good little spots for my stuff. So, first step, these are the sticky pads that come with the ballasts. I like using them as a temporary mount. Most ballasts have some way you can screw them on. That's the best way to mount them. But these stick pads are a good way to mock them in before you start. Spray everything down, carb clean, brake clean, wipe it down, and the sticker pad should affix to most anything. And that's step one. Pretty easy. The next step is going to be mounting the HID ballasts. We're going to do that by peeling off the protective layer on the 3M stick tape. We're going to use that to help mount the ballast. In the center top of the ballast, you'll see a black eyelet that's used to utilize a screw to help hold the ballast in place. I used a 1/4 by 3/4 inch self-tapping screw, which you don't see in this part of the video. Obviously, pre-drill your hole. Don't use any kind of power equipment. This is electronics. You know, it's sensitive. I also utilize some zip ties just to kind of hold everything in place. You know, it's always kind of good to secure it, even if it's over-secured. There's a lot of stuff that I left out of this video. Obviously, you want to pull everything out of the box, hook it all up outside of the vehicle, put power to it, make sure everything works. It's super frustrating when you mount something in a vehicle and then it doesn't work. So I've learned over the years to test everything before you even bother to install it. Like I said before, make sure that you build this in your head before you actually put it in the car. The more planning that you put before you start mounting things, the better it's going to come out. It's like the old saying goes, garbage in, garbage out. If you just throw everything in there and you don't mount anything and just everything's just kind of flopping around, it's not going to last. So, take your time before you even bother starting to mount things in the vehicle. Take your time and plan it out. That'll save you a bunch of time. I left this particular part in just to show that most of the time you do have to modify these kits. They are very universal. They are built to work with just about everything. This clip, this little rubber bulkhead connector, is actually hindering me from installing my kit the way I want. So I'm going to go ahead and cut them off. This is the example of things that you have to do to make it work for your application. Once they're cut off, I can continue. That's the actual bulkhead connector. They're just silicone. I literally just used a straight razor. And good example of what that is. So now it's time to start making some connections. This right here is the extension for the power to the H.I.D ballast. We're going to go ahead and connect that so we can string it through and go ahead and supply power to the H.I.D ballast. Right here, I've already plugged it in. This is the end that plugs into the power from the vehicle. Now these kits, sometimes they make screw-ups, and I guess this is one of them. If you look right here, the orange wire is positive. When you take these two wires and try and match them up, which I'm trying to do one-handed here because my cameraman decided to run off. You notice orange is power, you follow it across, and it goes to black, which is not power. The company that made this actually wired the H.I.D box itself backwards. The jumper cable is backwards. Most people would, give up at this point. But being a GM, it has a 9006 bulb setup, which is pretty cool because it's universal. I simply turned the plug backwards and plugged it in and took a zip tie and zip tied it together so that it wouldn't come apart. Problem solved. And then you just kind of tuck your wires away, make sure they're out of the way and they're not going to get pinched in anything or eaten by a fan. This is the innovated H.I.D headlight bulb, 5000K. Comes in this plastic case to keep it from being damaged. It simply unscrews. This is like changing any other headlight bulb. Old bulb comes out, new bulb goes in. I've heard a lot of people say that they've broken the bases on the H.I.D bulbs. I've never had a problem with any H.I.D kit I've ever put in as far as base, breaking the base plates. Be gentle. It's plastic. The factory headlights are plastic too. Just to show you, this is my original headlights that I put in. They're Sylvania Silver Stars. They're about $50 for the pair, so they're not cheap. And I'm hoping that the H.I.Ds will do better. We're going to be installing the H.I.D bulb here in a second. Make sure you don't touch the glass. Be gentle with it. Take your time. It should slip down in the slot and fit just exactly the same as any other factory headlight bulb. Simply take your time. Make sure that the tabs line up, and you'll know it'll drop down in. And it's literally like an eighth of a turn to make sure the bulb's secure. You should hear an audible click, and you're pretty much done. Check inside, make sure nothing's touching, make sure it looks good. That's it. Headlight bulb's installed. Fairly simple. So this is it. This is the very last step before you get to turn the H.I.Ds on. You want to go back through, double check your wiring, triple check your wiring. Make sure everything's, where it's supposed to be. Nothing's going to get cut off or pinched or ripped apart or burned or melted or any of that kind of stuff. Plugging in the H.I.D bulb to the ballast is about as simple as it can get. There's two weather pack plugs. They are mated in reverse. It is practically idiot proof. You cannot wire this backwards. It is physically not possible. You want to plug your connectors in, and the clips are very tight. They will actually make an audible click to make sure that you know that everything's tight and it's not going to fall apart on you. Once those are connected, make sure that any other electrical connections you've taken apart, you put back together, like your headlight, your high beams, if you got a four light system, little corner lamps, stuff like that. Take one last look before you start installing your headlight. Make sure that everything's where it's supposed to be. Nothing's going to get smashed. Like I said, the more attention you pay to the details, the nicer it's going to be. My headlights are pretty simple to install. I've just got two big old pins that hold them in. It's a big dumb truck, so it's pretty easy to put my headlights back in. That's another big thing. Make sure you actually reinstall your headlights properly. If you lose any hardware, replace it with matching hardware. Don't just jam a wood screw in there. If you do something like that, you could have a headlight that could possibly fly off at 80 miles an hour or vibrate so much that it damages the bulb. So, once again, keep it neat. And then you do the same thing on the other side. So here's some video I shot before I did the H.I.D install. Once again, these are Sylvania Silver Stars. Tried to, get some video of very dark condition and very light condition, just to show an example of what a halogen style headlight looks like on the road. As you'll see in the next video, the H.I.Ds are going to be a lot brighter. I've installed a bunch of H.I.D kits, and the biggest complaint people have is, they're glary to the other drivers. I've never had a problem with glare. If they're installed properly, they are way better than a factory halogen, and they're not distracting to anybody else that's on the road. As a comparison, there'll be some still photos right after this video. These are the Sylvania Silver Star halogen headlights. These are the innovated 55 watt 5000K kit. Here's the finished product. 55 watt 5000K H.I.D kit. As you can tell right off the bat, it is far brighter and far wider than the standard halogens. Even with the headlights being out of adjustment, the path of light is very large and very wide. I'll end up posting a short video with the headlights adjusted later on. I picked 5000K because it is the brightest light output in the spectrum. The higher you go in the Kelvin spectrum, the less actual light output you get. So if you are thinking about putting in an H.I.D kit, I suggest not to go above 6000K. I hope the video helps out, and thanks for watching, and throw me a like. Thank you.